Hi, how you doing? So this is another video from another location, doing therapy with Nels. I'll just let you have a little look and see if you can guess where we are again. I'll do a little pan around. You can see the little clue there, or the big clue in the background. Massive super yacht by the name of Lady Hire, and then other boats in the background there, one after another, moored next to each other. This is probably the biggest one of the lot right here, the most impressive one, owned by the Saudi royal family apparently. Anyway, it's the marina of Puerta Banus in Spain, home of the some of the rich and the wealthy. So here's Nels. It's a pretty impressive backdrop we're doing this interview on, and quite an appropriate subject. I've got a question to ask you, Nels.
Yeah.
So the subject matter for today is the subject of ego and how it affects our way of behaving in life, basically, for good or bad. You know, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, whether people have too much of it. How would you like to start?
Okay, so ego. I think it's one of those words that's quite misunderstood by a lot of people. Ego is often seen as confidence, being confident, having a big ego, perhaps being extrovert, confident, capable, self-assured, in very positive ways. But in fact, the definition of ego is that it's actually fear-based. The ego comes from a place of fear and insecurity, believe it or not. So yeah, misunderstanding of words and the connotation that we put on them. You could bring vanity into that as well. People being vain. Actually, the word vulnerability is probably more appropriate to use. Again, a word that's been quite misunderstood. When people think of being vulnerable, they often think of a weakness. That it's weak to be vulnerable. But actually, when we're vulnerable, it's a bid for authenticity, it's a bid for connection, and it's very empowering to be vulnerable, and you gaining confidence through being vulnerable.
So does ego mask that?
It does, yeah.
Right.
The ego is the shop front. It's the presentation. It's the mask that people wear, and it's false. It's fake. It's fear-based and insecurity-based.
And obviously, it happens on all different levels, to all different degrees. Is some ego a good thing?
Generally not, no, because it comes from a fear-based place.
Okay.
So fear will just beget more fear, and insecurity will beget more insecurity.
Right.
Confidence, vulnerability, self-assuredness is something different.
That's very different, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way we choose to go out and about and carry ourselves with pride and taking pride in your appearance and wanting to do well and achieve and all that sort of thing, does that not come under the umbrella of ego then?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because there are so many shades of of grey with these things, and things can merge. But pride is another thing which can tip into vanity and arrogance and cockiness. So in the definition of these words, it's the devil's in the detail, really.
Yeah.
So to take pride in something is a good thing, it's a positive thing, because it shows standards and accountability and consideration and respect.
Yeah.
But as soon as that tips into something else, then it becomes something else.
Yeah. So how does one look at themselves and wonder whether ego has become too big a thing for them in their life, to a detriment, or whether it's okay? Have you got any practical examples?
Yeah, so we always come back to the basics, to the fundamental formulas of things, which we've talked about in other videos, which is opinion and comparison. So checking in with yourself and making sure that your intention is coming from a place of I want and I'm enough, rather than wanting to please, to people please, or to impress, or to put on a presentation, because there is an insecurity and a fear that I'm not enough, it's not enough.
Okay. So to ask yourself those questions, yeah?
Checking in on what your intention is.
Yeah.
If it's coming from a place of I'm enough and I want and I would like it if, and checking in that it's your opinion that matters and that you're being real.
Yeah.
And showing humility and vulnerability emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it okay to exist with a degree of ego in you and still be doing pretty well in life? Inwardly, I'm talking about, as a person.
The ego, because it's fear-based, is there to be controlled and to be kept down as much as possible. Because as soon as you look into the fear, then you look into survival mode.
Yeah.
There's not enough, I'm not enough, I
Yeah.
need.
So when we often hear that term inflated ego, that's when it's more of an issue, yeah?
Yeah, the bigger the ego, the bigger the fear, the bigger the insecurity, the more performance related you are. So you're losing a sense of who you are, what your values are, what's important to you, as opposed to what other people think of you, how you're comparing, what other people's opinions are of you. Yeah, and if you're enough.
Okay. So just to sum up then, what's a summarized way of checking in with yourself to see if you are enough in the world? How does one do that when we're worrying and scared of that?
Yeah. So it's self-trust, believing in yourself, and that when you make choices and decisions that affect your behaviour, that you're coming from a place of I want and not a place of I need.
Right.
Which
Okay.
is fear-based, and that you are believing in yourself that you are enough.
Yeah.
Just by being you.
Great. Well, we'll leave it there then, on the subject of ego in Puerta Banus. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.